Welcome back, Spear fans. It's been a couple weeks, but we're back with episode 9 with the Spearcast. We've got a special guest today, in-grad assistant Max Beckholt, back again here with Derek Au and the Owl Palace and Jonathan Schaefer. We're back. We've got a lot to cover, but first and foremost, the big news of the week is the NFL draft. It's been hyped up. It's the most exciting time of the year for football players. It's the time for new beginnings. It's a time for new starts. You see my team right there. We know DQ, Derek Au, is that big 49ers fan. Jonathan Schaefer, Patriots fan. Max from Arizona. I believe he is a Cardinals fan. Am I correct?
LA Rams.
LA Rams. He likes Stan Kroenke, and as an Arsenal fan, I'm not a fan of that. But that's another story with the Super League. But getting into the draft, we all know who's going first in Trevor Lawrence. We all know who's going second in Zach Wilson. But let's go Bay Area here. DQ, Trey Lance. Do you like the pick, 3rd overall?
Well, first off, hello to our listeners and viewers out there. Hopefully you're doing well. I know finals week is approaching. Remember, it's just finals. It's not life or death, folks. Take a deep breath, calm down. Grades don't define you. Remember that. In terms of the NFL draft, I've never seen so much toxic 49ers Twitter over 3 dudes that just throw football. It's been nuts. I've had to stay off of that. I think ever since kind of like, I would say when Matthew Stafford, he went to the Rams, Max Beckholt's team, and that's when just kind of they ignited like a wildfire. And then they've been saying, "Oh, it's Mac Jones all on." I'm like, no, they need to change a play. They need to change a pace guy. And then, of course, they make a big deal about, Kyle Shanahan smiling like this to Justin Fields. So, like, that's not going to say anything. I mean, but of course, media jabronis like us, we like to take it to the next step forward. And then, Trey Lance was kind of a dark horse because, number one, I don't think any of us kind of watched North Dakota football. I know they've been on College Game Day a couple times. But I really liked his story because he never got scholarship offers from any FBS schools, and he had to work and grind every day just to be a starter. And then unfortunately COVID kind of interrupted his college career because they played one game, I believe, in the fall, and then something happened with the season shortened and stuff like that. But I really like him. I think he has a lot of upside. I know he needs to work on a lot of mainly his accuracy on throws and stuff, but he'll be utilized in the this season. I mean, he can run for days. Reminds me of like Steve McNair a little bit for all you throwback NFL fans, the late great Steve McNair. So I really like his upside. I think he has great character, which is something that the Niners haven't really drafted. In this past decade, you look at Aldon Smith and Reuben Foster especially. So I think that's something that was really keen on for Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch. But I really like it. And of course now we're gonna go controversy. Oh, when's he gonna start? So I mean, I think it's a good pick. I think I kind of compare it to what's happening in the drama show in Green Bay, or what's the drama show in Green Bay for 500. Aaron, get it? A little Jeopardy made fun of there, but because Aaron Rodgers, that kind of motivated his game and he won the MVP. Now, I'm not saying Jimmy G is going to be an MVP candidate this year. That's going to be a little foolishness, but I like the pick. I think it's really good. And now can we just all sit back and just enjoy my A's in first place, please? Thank you.
Those Oakland A's from 1-6 or 1-7, I think it was, to now 18-12, pitching great. But let's move on here to Johnny Schaefer and his team at 15. The New England Patriots, and I just want to say this to everybody. As soon as the Patriots started going to free agency, Kendrick Bourne and signing all those guys, I was like, they're picking Mac Jones. He's got the same type of body, play style as Tom Brady when he came out of school. Now I think Mac Jones is a better prospect coming out of school, but we all know the story of Tom Brady and now 7 rings. But Johnny Schaefer, the Mac Jones, was he your guy from the start? We know there was the rumors of Belichick not liking him. Your thoughts on the Mac Jones and the new start?
Yeah, it's funny. Ever since Tom Brady left, the Patriots have always been kind of, everyone's always talking about like, oh, Patriots are going for this guy, that guy. And I tend just not to believe it until the draft actually happens. Because there's that one year where the Patriots were set on Baker Mayfield and we're going to trade to the first spot to get him. Didn't do that. They were set on Lamar Jackson, did pass on Lamar Jackson and got Sony Michel, which, Sony Michel's okay, but Lamar Jackson would have been nice. So this year, whenever they're saying that, oh, Patriots want Mac Jones, Patriots were going for Fields, they love Trey Lance, I was just like, I'm just gonna wait till I see it to believe it. I do like Mac Jones because of the spot he was in. I don't think Mac Jones was a top 10 pick, but right at 15, I think it's perfect. And yes, the Belichick loves his pocket passers, and that's what Mac Jones is. He can't really move much. And I was hoping we could maybe like kind of change the scenery and get a running quarterback, but I'll take Mac Jones any day, especially the system he's going into. He has great weapons now. The Patriots loaded on weapons this year. O-line's just the same. Running game is just getting better too. And it also makes sense because Belichick and Saban just love each other. You can always tell Belichick's always drafting Alabama players because he just loves them. So I like the pick. I'm excited for the future. I think he should definitely, kind of stay back, let Cam Newton take the reins just for this year, and we'll see what the future holds for us.
Now, our grad assistant, especially as Max Beckholt, the Rams fan here, yet another year with no first-round pick. You guys make the big deal to trade Goff, go ahead and get Stafford. Your defense continues to be stacked. You have Cooper Kupp, you have Josh Reynolds, you have Robert Woods, but yet in your first pick in the draft in the second round, you take wide receiver out of Louisville, Tutu Atwell. Thoughts, where do you think this team is headed with that pick?
So first of all, you're talking to one of the few Rams fans that loved this pick, because actually Rams do not have Josh Reynolds anymore. He left in free agency, so they lost their number 3 wide receiver. They lost their top receiving threat tight end Gerald Everett, who they usually split out in the slot a lot. And now they've got Deshaun Jackson, who, let's just be honest here, we're not getting Eagles Deshaun Jackson here. And so, pick Tutu Atwell. From everything I've kind of seen, it looks like he's a first-round talent in like a 7th rounder's body. Kind of evens out to a 2nd rounder, I guess. He can go learn under Deshaun Jackson. I watched his tape. He looks like a young Deshaun Jackson out there. The Rams don't have a ton of depth at wide receiver. And a lot of Rams fans are ready for interior offensive linemen. Maybe go get a safety because we lost both our starting safeties. That's what a lot of Rams fans were kind of at. And I was like, they're going to take a wide receiver with this first pick, and they're probably going to take whoever they think is the best on the board. I'm really excited to see. I think they're probably going to use him as more of a gadget player this year. A lot of jet sweeps, a lot of screen passes, maybe even some wildcat stuff thrown in there. I don't know. But I'm excited to see what Tutu Atwell brings. I think he runs like a 4.3 140. And so I'm excited to see what that kind of speed can do in a McVay offense. And a lot of Rams fans criticize the Cam Akers pick last year because they're like, we just took a running back last year. We've kind of got a crowded room. And Cam Akers was fantastic last season. He was kind of really a breakout in the second half of the year. So I actually really like the pick.
Yeah, moving on to my now, Jets, Jets. We all knew who they were going to take in Zach Wilson in the beginning. I was a big, I didn't know what they were going to do. I was somebody who's more on the side of keeping Darnold and resetting. But with new coaching staff, I've liked Joe Douglas's draft from last year with Mekhi Becton. He was a stud when he was healthy. But new coaching staff, you shipped him off, and I don't think the Jets could have drafted any better. The first thing they do is trade up to 14 after the Zach Wilson pick and pick an offensive lineman, arguably one of the better ones in this draft. Then their next pick, which is the second pick in the second round, they pick Elijah Moore, who Mel Kiper was a big proponent of being a first-round wide receiver. Then they don't have a third-round pick because it was involved in the trade for the second pick, and they go ahead and grab their first Michael Carter of the draft at running back. I haven't seen much of him, but what the first thing they did was get their quarterback, protect him, give him weapons. Now, I don't know if Moore or Carter is going to turn into something, but that's something that the Jets haven't done for any quarterback since Chad Pennington, who is, let's say we have Mark Sanchez, Geno Smith. Like, it's not good. So it's encouraging to see. We've got Robert Saleh at the helm now. We're going to run the Shanahan family offense, the zone runs. We've got weapons. This is arguably the happiest I've been with the New York Jets draft since the early 2010s. I mean, Mark Sanchez was great. Then he turned into bad. The butt fumble happened. So I'm encouraged with this draft, and I do find it funny, the two Michael Carters. We have Michael Carter, running back from North Carolina, Michael Carter the second, the cornerback from Duke. Jets, I'm very encouraged, very happy with this draft. and the offseason moves. Denzel Mims from last season. We've still got Jamison Crowder. We added Corey Davis in the offseason. The only thing they're lacking is really a tight end, but that's not a desperate need in that offense just yet. But in terms from a Jets standpoint, I'm very happy with their draft. They drafted for more position of need rather than star player, even though they kind of did that with Zach Wilson. But I thought they did a good job. But moving away from our own teams, let's talk about San Jose State and how they did in the draft. Now, for the second straight year, they didn't have anybody get drafted, but Trey Walker, Bailey Gaither, they made a name for themselves this offseason. During the season, Gaither especially, he had a breakout year. Trey Walker, we knew who he was. He knew he was going to be good, and he had a little bit of an inconsistent season. But going back to Gaither, he is signed as an undrafted free agent with the Green Bay Packers. And if you go on ESPN.com and you go to his page, the first thing that pops up is Gaither with a Green Bay Packers logo showing NFL stats. So he doesn't have any, but I had to go into his page and switch his to the NCAA stats. Derek, you and I, we did the football podcast this year. We watched every game. We covered them. We saw what he was doing. Like you said, the drama with Aaron Rodgers. Is this the wide receiver that he really wants? Could Bailey Gaither be the reason why Aaron Rodgers stays in Green Bay?
What is closer to retirement for 500, Aaron? Listen, I don't know. That came out at noon, and then it just caught fire, man, on the Twitter machine. I don't know what's going on in his head. Maybe he wants to go make movies with his fiance. And by the way, congratulations to Cheyenne Woodley and Aaron Rodgers. They did get engaged, in a quiet manner. But I think Bailey, he's one of those guys that just keeps to himself. And, I think he can really make this Packers team. Of course, you have Devontae Adams, but I kind of see him as a Jordy Nelson 2.0 in terms of just his route running and, being able to catch balls in the post and being able to actually go deep. I think it's unfortunate that the pandemic shortened their season, just because not a lot of the scouts that you usually see from the East Coast, especially, with NFL teams, they weren't able to make it, because that was really during the second wave of the pandemic. And, if I was Bailey and Trey, I would have stayed just because, it kind of would have boosted your draft stock a little bit. Especially with this season, you were going to play USC, Central Michigan. You're going to get a lot of the Midwest scouts, and then of course get a lot of scouts from the LA area. But I think Bailey, can make the team. He has punt returning experience. But I don't know what's going on with the Packers organization. Maybe just give Aaron Rodgers some shares afterwards. I know the community has some shares, so I think they better start buying some Jordan Love jerseys if they need to. But yeah, I think he'll be fine in Green Bay. I think that's kind of his environment.
Yeah, and Trey Walker, Max, I know you were around last semester. You were you watched every football game. You saw Trey Walker. You are an undergrad of Arizona State, and in 2019, Trey Walker finished with San Jose State with 79 catches for 1,161 yards. Dude was on fire. Another 45 catches, 627. He another great year this past year for Trey Walker. He was great in the game against Nevada, against Boise State, and against Ball State. He was getting the ball every play. He's with the Buffalo Bills now as an undrafted free agent signing. So they've got, they got McKenzie, they've got Stephon Diggs, and I'm forgetting one more. Gabe Davis has another wide out there, and Josh Allen's one of the best up and coming quarterbacks. And do you think Trey Walker is at the Bills is a good spot for him?
I think it's a pretty great spot for him. I think both of these wide receivers went to really ideal situations. They're both in places where there's kind of one elite wide receiver, and then it's not necessarily the deepest wide receiver core outside of it. And so I think they can kind of jump in there, kind of make some noise. I think Trey Walker, I think that he's got a real shot to make a team. He's got incredible ball skills. When you watch some of the plays he makes, it's amazing to watch him. And I think that's probably, what the Bills saw out of him. I think he was probably on his way to being a draft pick before his pro day. He had a very disappointing pro day. I know he ran a pretty slow 40 and was under what his expected weight was going to be. And I think he kind of just was the kind of guy that they weren't going to take a risk on. A lot of teams weren't. I think he ran close to a 4.6 40. And so I think that once he gets into a place, once he's playing at game speed, because, game speed has kind of become a little bit of a cliche, but I think Trey Walker has better game speed than his 40 times showed. I think he can go in there and compete really hard for a roster spot, which as an undrafted free agent rookie, that's what you're looking to do right now.
Yeah, they're trying to make a name for themselves, Johnny. I know you watch them too. Do you agree with kind of what Derek mentioned? Do you agree with especially with Bailey Gaithers is to go, pro? Do you think that they're ready? And there were both some kind of Gaither with the chance of more scouting. Like Max said, that came in a little underweight, a little slow. Do you think that it was the right move for them to go for it now?
Yeah, I think Gaither has a way more better chance than Walker, in my personal opinion, just because the Packers receiving core, as we mentioned, isn't that deep. They just have Adams, and that's about it. They're still looking for that second weapon for Rodgers, even though it's been very difficult for them to at least find for their standpoint. And yeah, I think Gaither has a really good chance of making the team. And as you mentioned, as a punt returner too, because every team is looking for a punt returner. A player can be a punt returner and not have to be a receiver, like we've seen all before. And as for Walker, I think it'll be a little bit harder for Walker to at least make the team. As we mentioned, bad pro day, that's going to leave a big mark on your kind of status, especially going into the team already as an undrafted free agent. And it seems like the Bills do have a little bit of a better receiving core. But yeah, I think it was a great idea for these guys both to go pro. They both had terrific last seasons with the Spartans, especially winning the Mountain West. And, I wish just nothing best of luck for these guys. We just love to see our alumni become, famous in the NFL. We love our alumni, having success. So yeah, best of luck.
Yeah, moving on, another alumni, not from this past season, but starting quarterback of 2019, quarterback Josh Love was released on Hard Knocks. So pretty big deal by the Rams last season. He said he was a Rams fan, but he has been invited to rookie minicamp by the Cleveland Browns. He's 6'3", 203 pounds. He's got a good frame. We've all seen him come and how he can throw the ball. And, I don't know if he has a chance to make this roster, but, maybe a practice squad guy, it's going to be tough. We got Baker Mayfield. We know he's the starter. Case Keenum, we know he's the backup. And is this the fight for third string? Who else have they got there? But, just more San Jose State alum. And I think we also got to call back to James Jones, Green Bay Packers wide receiver, San Jose State alum. I don't think we're going to see any comparisons between the way Gaither plays and Jones plays. But hey, Green Bay has had some history with San Jose State wide receivers. Could that be the reason why they went after Gaither? Who knows? It's an exciting time for NFL rookies. People trying to make the names for themselves, for the Patriots, for the Rams, Niners, the Jets with the best draft. The draft in any sport is arguably the most exciting time, in my opinion. Free agency and trade deadline is fun, but the draft is new opportunities. You get to hear the stories of all these guys. Najee Harris is another guy. He's local, grew up in Antioch, was in a homeless shelter in Oakland, and he had his draft party there. There was a guy in the second round picked by the Eagles. Let me get his name pulled up really quick. By the Eagles, he went to Bishop O'Dowd. He is from Pleasant, California, which is where I'm recording right now. His name is Landon Dickerson. He went to Bishop O'Dowd, lives in Pleasant, California, where I'm from. I know a player of the 49ers was drafted from Alameda, where my girlfriend lives. It's an exciting time. You hear all these stories. We get to draw conclusions. Teammates reunited. Travis Etienne with Trevor Lawrence in the same round. Both Clemson alum now. Jamar Chase gets rematched up with Joe Burrow, LSU teammates there. So any last thoughts, Derek, Max, Johnny, about the draft? What have you guys heard, or favorite story, favorite sleeper pick? What do you guys got for me?
Yeah, if you don't mind me, because I'm just gonna jump off what you were just talking about, Max. Because I'm a huge college football fan, so to me the biggest story was all the reunions. You had 4 in that first round alone, between the Dolphins taking Waddle to match up with Tua, the Eagles taking Smith to match up with Hurts, even though they played very little together in Alabama. Then Burrow and Chase, and the big wow pick for me, the one where it happened and I was just like, what? Was the Jaguars taking Etienne. I think that's awesome pick. I think that's super fun. I'm really excited to go watch these guys play together again. It's just going to be like old times watching these guys play college football. So I really can't wait for that. I thought that was a huge, really interesting story of the draft.
Yeah, and I got two. First one, I guess I'll go with my team, the Niners, with Trey Sermon. You kind of turn off the draft after like the second round at least, and then you're like, okay, well, you just get on my phone. Then I remember grocery shopping, and I looked and we're like, what? We traded to get the Trey Sermon, the guy from Ohio State. Because I think I watched a lot more Ohio State football, of course, because they had a really solid season despite their pandemic limitations and only playing 7-8 games, and then they made the national championship game. But he really balled out. I think he kind of got lost in the shadow of Justin Fields just throwing to whoever was open. But I really like that pick. I know we have like 50,000 running backs on our roster, with Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr., JaMychal Hasty, and now Sermon. Give me some Sermon, by the way. Give me shelter. Oh, I can give him my scene. But I think with my Niners, everybody's saying Super Bowl contenders, and I'm gonna wait till I see a guy, because 2 years ago I thought they were gonna go 6-10, and they end up getting within 7 minutes of bringing Lombardi number 6. But I just want to see him play, injury free. I don't want to see no injuries in the preseason and at MetLife Stadium and in East Rutherford, New Jersey, or at our own Levi's turf, which is kind of cursed anyway. But then going to a local angle, Drew Dalman, he's a center from Stanford. He got drafted in the 4th round, I believe, to the Atlanta Falcons. Might replace Alex Mack, who decided to come back out west to play for the Niners. Really cool kid. He's from my hometown. I know, I have a couple of mutual friends with him. So it's really good to see some local kids, just get drafted. And, his dad played for the 49ers, won a Super Bowl ring. So it's really good to see, just local players get the opportunities they deserve. And like you mentioned, Max, with Najee Harris, his story's been inspirational, considering, he was the number 1 recruit, and then he went to Alabama, balled out there, was kind of in the shadow with Josh Jacobs and, a couple other running back there that they've recently had. So I think, just shows kind of the depth that California high school football and college football has. And don't sleep on the Pac-12, ladies and gentlemen. Do not sleep on the Pac-12, because they have some solid prospects. So I know Johnny wants to talk about buying his Mac Jones jersey at the local Modell's Sporting Goods store, Dick's Sporting Goods, or whatever. So
I usually don't buy a rookie jersey unless they like really start becoming a superstar. So I'll have to wait on that. I'll have to put some money into my savings for that jersey. But yeah, honestly, I think this whole NFL offseason and draft have just been like the most exciting we've ever seen. We saw so many players be traded, signed, and this draft was just really fun. The hype was awesome, so much talent. And I think for years to come, this offseason alone is just going to make such a big impact on the NFL. And I'm excited for this season and beyond. It's going to be really fun. And of course, good luck to everyone on all their teams, but not the 49ers. And just let's have some fun. Let's have some fun watching this. The pandemic is hopefully coming to an end by fall. And future's looking bright.
yeah, Johnny, we don't need, like, we're going to be in Inglewood, California, February 2022. Instead of going to Disney World, Disneyland's a lot closer to SoFi Stadium, so we'll just say that. And by the way, 2 more things before we kind of shift to our next segment here. May the 4th be with you. Got my Star Wars shirt. Of course, they're going to make some more money redoing these movies. And number 2, it's good to see fans at the draft in Cleveland. I think that was kind of missed last year when they did it from Roger Goodell's basement and went up to all of these different houses, which I like now, is just seeing all the players' reactions and their actual house. But man, it was good hearing the fans back. And, I believe it was like one of the largest sporting events in America since the pandemic. So yeah, it was just awesome to see that, noise and environment.
Yeah, it's huge. I think fans back in the stands. I mean, we've all heard what Goodell said is they expect full capacity at the start of next season. That's bold, ambitious. I'd love to see it. I don't think it's happening everywhere. I think definitely in some places, East Coast, maybe a little more, places like Tennessee, places like that, Dallas, I'd expect it. But if everybody by week 17 or week 18, I guess now, could have full stands. That'd be great. It's an exciting time, like Johnny said, like all of us said. But shifting now briefly here towards as we wind down this podcast, Derek has some updates for us on our women's golf team and women's tennis team who are still playing at this time, and they're playing for something important.
Yes, I know folks were too busy watching the Kentucky Derby and they're off. And seeing the GOAT, I guess, Bob Baffert, hated by some, loved by many. 7th time he won the Kentucky Derby as a trainer. But let's move to San Jose State. The women's tennis team, if you didn't know, or if you've just not been paying attention, or if you're like Johnny, knowing that Mac Jones is going to be a bust in the NFL, what? I said that. They will be playing Cal. I believe it's their fourth. Yeah, it's going to be their third NCAA appearance. Of course, they won their second Mountain West championship in 5 years. Give credit to head coach Chad Skorupka and that team. They've just been killing it. They're 15-1. Cal 17-6. They won the Pac-12 tournament. They will be the Spartans will be just taking a little quick trip up the 880 to Berkeley. That's where their first round match is going to be, and they'll either play Kentucky or Syracuse. But I think for the Spartans, they've lost to UC Irvine, California, the previous 2 times. So if they can just have a long, deep run, I think that'll be good. Because the tennis tournament works kind of like basketball, where it's just brackets, just knockout play. So anybody can win anything. And I believe I said in an earlier podcast, or kind of in a rehearsal podcast, Max, I said the tennis team would be national championship contenders. So I'm going to stick to that. I'm not going to say they're going to win the whole thing, because I think everybody will be hiring me to do their betting for them, and we're not like that here on the Spear, unless you give some cut to me on DraftKings. But I feel like the tennis team's going to be they're going to have a really good run. I don't see them getting eliminated this Friday. And then the women's golf team next week, folks, they'll be going up the 101 to Stanford. They're going to play in the women's golf regional. It's their second regional third straight regional they've made. Of course, last season got interrupted. They were on a roll with the pandemic, and the team's looking really good. Now top 6 get to go to the national championships in Arizona. Of course, Max's old stomping grounds at Greyhawk, I believe, in the Scottsdale area. San Jose State will have to navigate a tough field. They got defending, Stanford are the defending national champions still in women's golf. Wake Forest, they've always had a solid program. A lot of Pac-12 schools, I believe, in the field. I believe there's like 6 or 7 California schools playing in that regional. But like I said, if they can just get a top 6 finish, it will be really good to make it to the NCAA championships. And obviously, when you get to the NCAAs, you play 3 days of stroke play, and then the last 2 are match play. So, it's a crapshoot, because you can be number 6, or you can be like the last team that made it, but you can just get red hot at the right time. So I feel like the women's golf team will have a long run also in the postseason. But just keep tuning in. I'm sure we'll be covering the stories, and I'm sure we will have all the recaps for you, ladies and gentlemen. And Max, don't forget to mention our magazine that just dropped as of yesterday.
Yes, that was my next plan. You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to go plug our website, plug our Twitter, and please, just like Derek said, we just released a new magazine. It is a little bit on the thinner side, but they are all great reads. We have great design team. We have great editors. We got great people in the organization that is the Spear, student run. For those looking for a magazine, unfortunately, this one is not printed. We're working to try and get a printed version of our next magazine. That is possibly a best of magazine, as well as maybe a few new articles. But our website is thespearsjsu.com. Check out our Twitter at thespearsjsu. Our Instagram at the Spear SJSU, all the same across all 3. But like Derek said, we just released as of, I believe, Monday, the 3rd, which is the day before when we have filmed this. Please check out our magazine. When you go onto our website, thespearsjsu.com, you'll see the current magazine. You'll go back and see all of the recaps that we post from all of our great people writing. You'll see Derek, Johnny, me, Max. This is his first time, I believe, getting published on the Spear page as a grad assistant. So he's now officially going to be on our website with this podcast. You'll see plenty of recaps, baseball and softball winding down. We know Derek's got the women's golf team on lock. You'll see plenty of recaps and videos for all the other sports. So please check us out. Subscribe here on YouTube. Keep listening to us on Spotify. If I missed anything, please follow any of our reporters, comment down below. Derek, I see you got yourself unmuted. What do you got for us?
Well, this is actually Max Beckholt's second time. Last semester, we interviewed the World Golf Hall of Famer Julie Inkster and then the head coach Dana Dorman. So I think Max gave some good vibes at the beginning of the season, and now we're getting to the end of their spring season. So yeah, you never know. But don't forget Facebook, folks. I know we don't want them tracking our ads because I know there's been some big stories with Apple users, and I know just a quick tangent. I know all of my peers at the Spear, most of them believe 95% have Apple iPhones, and I know Jara and I are the only ones with Android. So I don't want to update my iOS or whatever to be tracked, everybody, because we all know where Aaron Rodgers is going. He's going to be in Burbank hosting some Jeopardy shows. But give it to LeVar Burton, by the way.
Yep. Facebook page too, Twitter at the Spear SJSU, thespearsjsu.com. Check all of us out. Keep on listening. Comment down below if you hear us. We look forward to seeing you guys, hearing to us, listen to us. This has been episode 9 of the Spearcast. We look forward to bright futures. Hopefully Bailey Gaither, Trey Walker make it. We hope Josh Love makes it. No Jordan Love here for Green Bay. But for Jonathan Schaefer, for Max Beckholt, Derek Au, I'm Max Miller. This has been the Spearcast. We'll talk to you all in the next episode.